Here's some things to consider when you get older. All right, something to consider as you get older, say above 50 or 60, if you like animals or pets. Um, what I like animals and pets too. Um, but what I have a concern for is as you get older, will those pets outlive you? And if they do, where will they go? You know, you may have relatives or something or other say, yeah, we'll gladly take them if something happens to you. And, you know, I've seen other videos here on the internet and other places. That usually doesn't happen. People don't step forward to take your pets. They'll come in and clean your house out, but they won't take the pets. And then you may have an elderly pet or one that's been all of its life with you end up in a shelter of some sort and totally lost. You can look those videos up on the internet too. You know, man passes away, dog ends up in a shelter. Woman passes away, whatever, this, that, or the other. So what you have to consider is, and at least I do, is at what point, even though you like pets, companionship, they're fun to roughhouse with, they play with you, at what point do you say, I can't do anymore? You know, despite all the videos about adopting pets and companionship, you have to think beyond that. Where will the pet end up? What point, at what age? It's, you know, it's to be determined by you and your lifestyle where you have to stop doing it. And that's a tough choice. I don't know that there's exactly an answer either way. It really comes down to you. And if you don't have pets, you know, this kind of excludes you from this conversation, but, you know, you got to think sincerely about where the animal may end up, in the situation you may end up. I personally, I have, you know, right now 2 dogs that are elderly, 12 years old, and they'll probably pass away in the next 3 to 4 years. And at 57, you know, I'm at that balancing point or tipping point where I'm saying, no more. Now, I like them, but I probably can't do that because they will probably outlive me. Even from today, I suspect they probably will outlive me. And I don't want to live with that or die with that on my head. No, where do they go? So what you have to ask, like I've been saying, is what do you do with your pets? Or when do you cut it off? Or what's going to happen to them? I don't know. Got to ask yourself that. Reduced income at retirement. Now, there's a good chance that whatever savings you have or financial plan you have, that your income is going to be reduced when you retire. Now, what percentage, that's up to you and whatever planning you've done up until this point. Now, just be clear, I am not a financial expert. These are things I've had or I've been guided into doing by people who do know better than I do. Anyway, it's not financial advice and I'm not an expert, but it's kind of generic. You should be able to follow these. Now, in one of my past videos, someone said, invest in your company's 401k, which I have done that, and I suggest you do the same. It will pay off in the end, somewhere, even a little bit. Roth IRAs, invest in those too if you can. Now, the way I figure it today, if I retired today at 65, now I'm 57. If I retired today at 65, with my Social Security and my investments through my company, I would only be making about $40 to $100 less a month than if I had just stayed working. So I think I'm okay with that. I'm doable. Now, in the process up to this point, or up to your retirement point, you have to make some cutbacks. You have to decide things that aren't needed, be it subscriptions to movie things, or music, or magazines, or whatever you may get. You have to cut those out, and I've been trying to cut those out, or trying to learn to live without those things. And the truth is, I don't really need them. As far as TV, I do have a few memberships, but I do have a spouse that's significantly younger than me, and she still watches a lot of series on those. But I don't watch them. I watch a lot of YouTube, a lot of documentaries through free apps. Obviously, YouTube's free, and you can get documentaries through other apps. And that's generally all I like, so it's not a lot of TV. Music, I can get that on the internet and put that on a flash drive and put it in my vehicle, or I can download it right to my phone without any cost. So from 57 to 65 is where I intend to end this. Is I'm doing my best to cut, learn to live without things, learn to live without going out to eat, which is easier than I thought it would be, because I've just kind of lost the appetite. Maybe the food has changed. It's just not as good as it once was. And if you got to have memories with, I guess, family members or whatnot, you could do so in another way. Go to their house to eat, or whatever it might be. Go to the park, something or other. So it's something to consider, isn't it? Whatever your lifestyle is, whatever it is today, or whatever age you're at, 57, 28, 64, you have to realize, and I think this is going to apply to most people, you're going to make a percentage less in retirement. What things can you eliminate that you just don't need? What things don't you just don't need a ton of? No, I was heavily into firearms, and I bought firearms 4 or 5 every year. Just kept buying them. And you know what? They sit somewhere collecting dust right now. I only shoot a handful of them a year. I guess my only vice is I pay for a private firing range in my area to shoot whatever I want to shoot. But I'm essentially done with buying firearms. I've cut that out too. Also with the firearms, and no matter how many times I go, I'm losing skill. Does that make sense? Because of my age, and I have to just be satisfied with what I am. I'm not training to be a professional sniper or something like that. I just got to hold my own. All right, so income at retirement. Remember, it's going to get cut for most people. You're going to lose a little money. So what could you cut out of your life that will help you fit into that budget, whatever that budget may be? Movie subscriptions, like I said, I don't know. So before you get to age 65, 67, whatever you retire at, start looking at your things in your life. What can you do away with? What, I guess I want to say, frivolous spending can you absolutely get rid of? At 57, that's kind of where I'm doing it right now. Trying to just lessen the weight. That's it. Lessen the financial burden. I go into retirement. I probably will get another job doing whatever. I don't know. Something to just stay busy. So think about it, folks. What can you do to reduce the financial burden before you retire? And the sooner you start it, the better you are later on. Because then you won't miss it. It's just slow. If you have to cut all these things out overnight, you're probably going to be pretty miserable. If you cut them out, little pieces, years before you get to retirement, I think you'll be better off. Seems to me that's working for me. So stick around. A few more considerations to go. Now we'll talk about property maintenance. And by that I mean, it could be automotive, it could be around your house or your yard, something like that. Things that you possess that are legitimately real property, yours. When you get to retirement, or you get to a point in your life where you start to feel it. And right now, I'm 57, I'm starting to feel it. Things are deteriorating a little. I noticed it in little tasks, whether it's tougher to bend over, things like that. Now, you need to think about who's going to maintain the things you have. Now, you might have a spouse or something that's able to do it, and that's fine. But you still have to consider it. Who's going to maintain your yard, your cars, things like that? And I'm still working on that a little bit. I'm not really sure how that's going to go. I'm actually trying to teach the spouse a little bit about like the lawn tractor or something you saw at the beginning of this little clip. How to use it, how to start it, how it's so much easier, and some of the power equipment I have for snow and yard work, whatever. Though it's small, it's just a residential area. It's not all that hard. But to someone who's never done it for 20, 30 years or whatever it's been that I've been doing it, it's tough for them to figure it out. Now, or are you going to just let your house or your goods or your possessions fall into disrepair? Unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, the neighborhood I live in, you're not going to be able to do that here. You're just not. The city I live in is not going to put up with that. You growing your grass 8 feet tall and making up excuses why you can't cut it. They don't want pretty yards. They just want them cleaned up. No junk all over the place. No cars in disrepair sitting in your driveway. So at retirement, or whatever point in your life, are you going to be able to maintain those? How are you going to maintain those? Think about it. Right now, if you're 30s, 40s, whatever, 50s, and in reasonable health, yeah, you're still bulletproof. And you could still possibly just be doing these things, no problem. But there will come a time when you're going to start to feel it, where you can't do certain things like you used to. So you either can compensate by buying better power equipment or things like that to make those tasks easier. But even then, that's only going to carry you so far. So what are you going to do? You're going to pay a lawn service? You're going to pay a auto mechanic or something or whatever, or a boat mechanic to do all your maintenance? Well, let me tell you, I know some retirees that are kind of in that boat. And they generally still get out, cut their grass, things like that, and maintain the yard. But wrenching on cars and power equipment, it's starting to cost them. They're starting to pay for it by having to take these items to a shop. And I'm noticing that they have to wait sometimes. They say, well, I don't have the money. And that's the case for all of us for certain things. I don't have the money right now. I can't take it into the shop. So it's just going to have to wait, be it a chainsaw or whatever else. And I understand that. But that's a lesson for me as I see that. Like, wait a minute. That might be me. So, think about that, folks. What are you going to do when you go to retire, or you physically can't do the job, even if it's before retirement? How are you going to maintain these things? I see occasionally people just let everything fall into disrepair and look like bums. You see it on the internet, and these lawn services that go by, drive around and provide, or they do lawns for free. Oh my God, the lawns are terrible. Trash everywhere, this, that, broken down cars. They do it for free, but you can't live like that. You can't have expectations that your fellow man is going to come in and clean up behind you. So walking into retirement, or walking into the day that you're not going to be able to do these, you got to figure out how you're going to do them. Hey, you might end up selling the house. You might end up downsizing and getting rid of the boat, the motorcycles, And what's the need for chainsaws if you don't have any trees to cut? You're not going around helping people. You're not going to throw them in your vehicle and go down the street. So get rid of this junk. Those are things you shouldn't have to maintain. You know, this is going to sound dumb, but, you know, like patio furniture, outdoor grills, those things, they have a little bit of maintenance that, you know, you have to do. But think about it before you put expensive patio equipment out or expensive grills. Just how much are you going to use these things? And is it worth putting them out there, watching them deteriorate, and scrapping them a little while later? Now, barbecue grills I tend to use a lot of, but I noticed, got some patio furniture, I don't know, a year or two ago, and it's hardly been used. And I think, wow, it looks really nice, but should I have done it? Or maybe I should have just left the patio, you know, empty except for the grills. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. And walking into retirement, maybe you guys could leave in the comments what you intend to do. How are you going to get by with this stuff? I don't know. I really don't have an answer for this one. You know, it'd be great, hey, if you like, share, subscribe to my videos. They're just pre-retirement videos. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. I'd be interested in hearing it because I don't have all the answers. Maybe you have some of them. Now here's a big consideration to me. Healthcare or healthcare insurance when you retire. Whatever age. For me, it's got to be 65 so I can get Medicare. And I suspect a lot of Americans are in the same boat. Now I see retirement or pre-retirement videos all over the internet. And they, you know, they paint a picture of, hey, you could retire at 55. I retired at 45. Or this, that, or the other. Well, what they usually don't address, watch the videos, they don't address where does your health care come from? Well, typically it would come from a spouse or in real rare cases from a company. Real rare. But it typically comes from a spouse who's still working. And I don't think that's the case for many Americans. You're going to work till you're 65 to get some of at least be eligible for Medicare, whatever it is now. But that's the one thing that really drives me nuts. I watch the videos, you know, for information and things like that. And, you know, hey, I retired at 55, so should you, and this and this and that, and make it sound like you are the bad thing. Or you are the reason you can't retire. They never address in any of their videos of where the health care insurance comes from. And it doesn't matter how good of health you're in. Maybe it's less. You're going to need it at a certain age. And it's going to be a continuous thing. Blood pressure, this, that, or the other. You're still going to need it. So the consideration for me is this when I look at those videos is I usually get to the point where they won't touch on the insurance and then I just shut them off because it's the same story. For me, it's 65. That's it. I have healthcare insurance from now until 65 or, you know, when I retire from my employer. It's very good. Medicare will probably be a downgrade from where I'm at now. So what I've been told. I can't retire at 55. You know, you're paying mortgages, cars, whatever else. So I guess that would be my biggest, like I said, consideration or pet peeve. Don't listen to the people telling you to retire at 55. Get on their YouTube and ask them, how'd you retire at 55? Where's your health care insurance comes from? Right? We all need it. Broken leg, this, that, or the other. Even if you're in perfect health, you're still going to need it. Ask them where it comes from and watch how you don't get an answer. You know, oh yeah, they paint the whole picture of life and, you know, I'm driving around in this and I can be a philosopher out behind the barn and things like that. My goats and cows and, you know, or I live in the city and I go to cafes every day and I'm only 56. You should retire at 56. Ask them why. Ask them how. You know it and I know it. they got a spouse or somebody else that's footing the bill for their health insurance. Now, that doesn't make it wrong, but when you create videos like this, you should be truthful enough, but yet still be able to remain, I guess, a certain level of anonymity. You don't want to give out too many details, but the biggest detail I could give making these videos, I have to wait till I'm 65 to get Medicare. Right now, I have employer-sponsored health insurance. That's to carry me to 65. That's why I can't retire early. Financial, I could probably do it, but that's why I can't go. I go to another job, it's crappy health insurance or none at all. Period. That's it. Watch the videos. Anybody else but me. And I bet you they don't ever address that. Or rare cases they will address, how their health insurance. That's in the United States. Now, I do watch retirees from Great Britain, where I believe they have state-sponsored health care, and it may cover that angle. And I don't know enough about it to say either way. But the ones in the United States don't address that. They'll just gloss over it. Oh, yeah, I'm living the great life at 55 and traveling in Tahiti and whatever else, but never say nothing about that. So, it's hard to take advice entirely from those people. Some points they have are good, but there's still those glaring issues. Finances, healthcare, yeah, that's it. Those are the biggest ones. Finances and healthcare. So, anyway, I'd like to thank you for watching the video before this. Maybe it was long-winded. Maybe it was whatever. And I could have done things different in my life. Should have done things different in my life. And I expect you could have too. But if you can make a change, or if these videos will help you early enough in your life, saying, who the hell is this guy? I'm not a financial anything. I'm not an expert on any of that stuff. It's just what I've seen over the course of my life. Maybe you can do some of the things I said and make some positive changes in your own life. So if you don't mind, like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. Thanks for watching the video. I'm Jeff in Ohio.